In today's video, I'm sharing with you the upcoming Forsaken Sentinels Kickstarter. But before we get into today's video, just want to share with you what the GGGGs are for this month. Each month, Bob the Beholder picks some of my Patreon supporters to receive gratitude gifts. And for this month of September of 2025, we have $100 going towards a crowdfunding campaign, which my Patreon supporters are currently voting upon. We actually have 2 pledges all in for this Kickstarter. And then finally, we have one of these printed and painted terrain samples that I will be shipping to you. Go ahead and use the link below to go to my Patreon page where you can get in on this month's GGGGs for only $1. So Forsaken Sentinels is going to be kickstarting on September 23rd, which is going to be next Tuesday after I post this video. So go ahead and use the link below if you want to go over to the Kickstarter page and check out what they have there. And an all-in pledge is going to be $79, but there are going to be smaller pledges if you didn't want everything. Dana did send me these sample STLs for me to be able to print out. And I will say that some of the pieces do need supports. For example, these statues definitely do need supports because there are overhangs. And Dana did send me STL files specifically for the bamboo slicer where he did paint in supports where it was needed. But make sure to double check whenever you slice a 3D print that there are supports where needed. Also, his default was at 0.16 millimeter height, which is a lot of detail. I print everything at 0.2 millimeter height, which I think is plenty of detail for terrain because you actually want the centerpiece of what's on your battle map to be the miniatures rather than so much the terrain. The terrain is sort of the backdrop for the main attraction, which is the miniatures. But there appears to be a ton of different terrain that's going to be offered in this campaign. Also, I wanted to note that this mausoleum is actually printed at 140% larger. So it's a lot smaller than this, but I wanted to print something out that would look cool on the terrain board. And a lot of the models, I think, appears to be pretty tall. But I think sort of this grimdark aesthetic obviously would work super well with any wargaming, whether that is fantasy or sci-fi themed. Also, I think this would work great for Trench Crusade, so there are a lot of cool options. Also, Dana did send me some fencing files, which I think looks pretty intriguing and super modular, but I didn't have time to print that out to see what it looked like, but this video here really shows the versatility of how you can configure the fences to what you want it to be. And again, it's consistent with sort of that grimdark look. Also, there's a lot of modularity and options for the buildings, and this altar, I actually switched it up from what Dana showed on the Kickstarter page because I think he had a large version of this here in the center and then 2 gargoyles down here, but just wanted to switch it up a little bit, and I think it looks super cool. I do have a painting tutorial at the end of the video, so if you're interested in that, check that out. Although I do use the same painting techniques that I do for almost all of my other terrain, so it's going to be nothing different if you have watched some of my other painting tutorials. But it is super easy and quick to paint these up. Doesn't take that much time, especially if you are going for the darker sort of grimdark aesthetic. Overall, I'm really satisfied and excited about these files. There's a levitating castle that I think looks super cool that I want to print. But overall, I think this will be a great addition to anyone's wargaming table or RPG table. So go ahead and make sure to use the links again if you are interested. Hit the like button and subscribe as I come out with more of these 3D printing videos. And if you really enjoy my content, go ahead and go over to my Patreon page where again you can get in on this month's gratitude gifts as well as gain access to our Discord channel where we talk about gaming hobby. Stick around if you want to see the painting tutorial. Otherwise, happy printing, happy gaming. We'll see you next time. Alright, I couldn't find my normal Krylon camouflage dark brown, and so I found instead this Fusion matte coffee bean, which I think is similar in color. But any super dark brown is what you want. And because I print in black PLA, that will cover up any sort of lack of spray anywhere, so you don't have to be super precise about it. But I go ahead and just give it a good once over. And then I just grab this flat red primer, and then I sort of put streaks here and there. And then I do the same with this camouflage army green. Alright, first paint that we are grabbing is this zinc. It's a dark gray from Americana. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just paint all of the stone with this dark gray. And you can see just the spray paint of the olive green and the rusty red, and it just gives sort of different shades. I'm using this Hogshair brush. It's just stiff. What I like about it and why I use this is, one, it's broad, but two, because the hair and the bristles are stiff, it won't go down into the cracks and crevices, so you still maintain a lot of the dark shadowing and shading from the undercoat as well as from the black. So you don't have to get everything. So for example, down here at the bottom, you're seeing that I'm not trying to get all the paint everywhere because I want some of that undercoating, both of that green and the red, to show through. Now I am grabbing some neutral gray, which is a medium gray. Still use the same brush, don't even bother cleaning it because it's still, you know, gray. So get some on there. And you don't want to put as much on as you did the first coat. But still want to highlight, and you'll notice I'm not putting it everywhere, but just to bring out some highlights. And I know that's super hard to see any real difference there because it's pretty subtle, but maybe down here you can see it a little bit better. Alright, so now I'm grabbing some slate gray, which is a pretty light gray. And you want to be careful because you don't want to put a lot of this super light color on here, but you're only sort of grabbing highlights, like so. Very light. You don't want to overdo it. Alright, I am grabbing some metallic copper. Now you can grab any color that you want, maybe even silver or something like that, or black even. But I sort of like this color just because it's warmer and the gray is so cold. And I did switch brushes to something a lot smaller because I want to be able to grab the edges of this metallic portion of the roof without getting it onto all the gray that I just painted. And similarly with the other portions, I don't bother getting all the way into the edges, but am highlighting because I still want the dark recesses to remain shaded or shadowed. And I'm going to do sort of the edges here that are harder to get with the bigger brush, and then I'm going to switch to a larger brush and do this entire roof over here. But I stick with this smaller one just so that I have more control over where the paint goes initially. So wherever it is meeting the building where I need more control, I'm going to use this smaller brush. So it'll look like this. I did the gate inside, and then over here this is what it looks like. But you can pick out whatever components that you want to be a different color, but see how this warm copper color contrasts against the cold gray of the rest of the building. So I like that. Alright, so pretty much done, but I think I want to pull out the skulls a little bit more. So I'm going to grab Gray Sky, which is a super light gray, and I normally don't use it, but and the reason why I'm not using white is because, and you can use pure white if you want to, but I find that it is super bright. It's too bright. And so when you're having sort of a theme of things being grim dark, I think that pure white is a little bit, it just looks garish. So that's why I prefer this lighter gray instead, because look at how bright that is, and it's not even pure white. So that's sort of my reasoning behind why I use gray. So it's just like that, and then these I think are bones, so I'm going to go ahead and do these as well. And again, see how I fade towards the bottom? So I think that just gives it a little bit of a difference.